Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do a plan with me video and take you guys along with me as I plan and prep some 5 in a row units for the upcoming school year. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Abby. I'm a homeschooling mom of 5. 4 of my kids are currently homeschooled, 2 of them are in elementary school and 2 are in middle school, and then we have a newborn if you can't hear her right now making some noise while I sit down and get some planning done. So if you are not familiar with 5 in a row, I will put some links up to some videos. We've used 5 in a row for years and we absolutely love using them. We've used them in different ways in the past. Sometimes it's our main curriculum, especially when my older kids were much younger. Sometimes we've used it kind of like as a supplement. In this upcoming school year, we're going back to using it as the core curriculum for my elementary aged kids. Now, the fun thing about what I'm doing today is I have a girlfriend who, you know, we've been friends for the longest time since our oldest kids were toddlers. And she's the one who actually told me about 5 in a row 10 or 11 years ago. So when our kids were in preschool and kindergarten, we started getting together once every couple of weeks and doing some 5 in a row together. And now this year I have a newborn. She's about to have a newborn. We also both have a kindergarten daughter, and then she's going to have a 4th grade son and I'm going to have a 3rd grade son this upcoming school year. So what we thought would be fun, since we have the same manuals and we have all the same books, would be if we would each prep a few units for one another and then swap. So I'm prepping 5 units, she's prepping 5 units, gathering the supplies, making lesson plans. So I'm doing the 5 and I'm obviously doubling the prep work and giving her 5, and then she's doing the same. So at the end of this, we'll each have prepared 5 units, but we'll each have 10 units for 10 different books. So I'm excited. I've gone through and chosen my favorite that have been on my list to do for a while. Some we haven't ever done, some are just some favorites that we haven't done in a few years. And so I chose some from a few different volumes, so volumes 1, 2, and 3. So what I chose was from volume 1, I chose Madeline because that's a great one. I love doing Madeline. I haven't done that in a long time. And it's one that I always recommend to 5 in a row newbies, just because I think most of us moms read the book when we were younger and we're all familiar with it. And I think there's some great fun lesson plans in there. So from volume 1, we're doing Madeline. Volume 2, I chose Wee Gillis. I haven't done Wee Gillis since my older kids were like kindergarten, 2nd grade. And then from volume 3, I actually chose 3 that we haven't done yet. So Truman's Ant Farm, Duchess Bakes a Cake, and Little Nino's Pizzeria. So all of those I thought would be really great for kindergarten girls, 3rd and 4th grade boys. There's a lot of like science and baking and crafty things in there. A lot of 5 in a row units are discussion based. You don't have to do a lot of prep work. So I chose units that I knew were on the craftier, experiment-ier, bakier side of things, just so that I could actually put together like a tangible, you know, supply kit to give to her and actually make this effort worth it for the both of us, versus just writing lesson plans that are just verbal and just kind of discussion based. So 5 in a row has a little bit of everything. You don't have to do a ton of prep work, but I'm choosing units that are a little bit heavier on the prep work side, like I said, just so that I have these units ready to go. And so it was worth it for us to be doing this exchange. So I'm gonna take you guys along on this whole process, show you how I plan it out, and then show you kind of like the supplies I've gathered. Now there are 5 in a row units online if you don't wanna buy the curriculum. If you'd like to try 5 in a row, they have a bunch of mini units online that you can purchase for, I believe it's $10 for a week's worth of study. And there's also one that's free. I think it's called The Day You Begin, which is a great one for the beginning of the school year. And I will link that down below if you guys are interested in trying 5 in a row in your house before you commit to purchasing the manual. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera around, show you what I've got here, and take you along on the planning process. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what I've done so far and then show you my little setup here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start planning, and I'll take you along in bits and pieces here. So I've got the manuals here. I also have some of the books out here. I've got Little Nino's Pizzeria, Truman's Ant Farm, and Wee Gillis. And then I also have Madeline, which is loaned out to a friend right now, so I don't have that. And then Duchess Bakes a Cake is coming in the mail. I got that used. It was one that I didn't own. I've also got my coffee, cookies, water, we're good to go. So what I did was in the manuals here, this is volume 1, 2, 3, and then I also have the Bible supplement down here. You can print or photocopy their planning sheets, which look like this. It's a 2-page spread. There we go. And what I did to keep this simple, so I could keep everything in like one folder and just make it really simple, is I printed a copy of each and then I did a photocopy like this so that it turned out like this. So I can just write all the lesson plans in like this for my friend and myself. And then I also went through and in the book for each unit, they have a lesson planning and teacher notes page like this. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through each book, look at all of the options, and I'm going to choose social studies, language arts, art, math, science, and then sometimes I will have additional opportunities like field trips, websites, or other projects that I wanna do. For example, I know that there's one project that I bought on Teachers Pay Teachers a couple years ago for my boys for another unit that we did that I think would tie in well with, I think it was Little Nino's Pizzeria. So I'm gonna write that and somewhere on here and then put that in the folder for them as well. So things will jog my memory as I go through the books. So I'm gonna write out the topics here and then I'm gonna fill in this 5-day planner as well. And I actually already have what my girlfriend prepped. She got hers done before I got mine done. And she did something very similar. She put this in for me blank so I could kind of do my own thing. And then she did a 5-day lesson plan as well on a photocopy of her own. And she wrote things like read the book and then role play this and then, you know, do this lesson. So I'm kind of taking a note from her, a page from her book, note from whatever, and doing the same thing. All right, so I'm gonna start with Weegillis, just because I already have an idea of some things I wanna do since we've done Weegillis before. So this one is set in Scotland. So the geography that I'm gonna choose is Scotland. And I think what I'll do is I will, let's see here. Okay, so yeah, it says, look up Scotland online, share the pictures, good books at the library. I might find a documentary and list that, and then fix a bowl of oatmeal and some shortbread. So I think I'm gonna do that for our geography, like some Scottish oatmeal and a shortbread recipe, and then I'll find a documentary link. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Okay, so really cool, and I don't remember doing this last time. It mentioned shortbread for a treat, and then I immediately went to go pick which language arts unit I would do from here, and it started talking about poetry and introducing the poems of Robert Burns, especially one called My Heart is in the Highlands, because the book talks about the Highlanders and the Lowlanders, and the whole book is basically about him being torn between these two sides of his family. And some of them are Highlanders, some of them are Lowlanders. And so there's a poem called My Heart is in the Highlands. And what's cool is that I can kind of combine the social studies, like the geography, the shortbread with the poetry language arts lesson and have a fun poetry tea time prepped. So again, you don't have to like do so much prep work. It doesn't have to be so involved with like cooking and baking and combining things. But I just thought that would be a really fun way to combine the language arts and the social studies. So I'm gonna plan to print this poem and find a shortbread recipe and maybe like some kind of tea from that area and put together like a little tea time lesson as well. So that is the language arts that I'm gonna choose. Now I'm gonna try to pick art. So there's a few different art lessons that goes along with this. There's a monochrome, compare and contrast, cross-hatching, which is what I'm leaning toward because this is something we've not encountered. A lot of things you kind of encounter time and time again as you're going through different books, and I think it's good to kind of hit the same topics, but cross-hatching we've never done. And then there's shadows. So the cross-hatching talks about Wee Gillis holding his breath with the bagpipe. So I'm gonna see if I can find that and just see if it's enough that I feel like I could do, like, form a whole art lesson out of it, or if it's like a minor part of the book. And there it is. Oh yeah, that's a nice size illustration. Okay, so we will totally use that as their lesson. So cross-hatching, I will find a cross-hatching lesson online for that, and that is gonna be the one that we choose. Okay, so for math, I chose the topic of half, and I'm not even putting like a specific lesson plan for that, because my friend will know based on what her kids are doing in math or what her kids need help with, what to do for that. And then when we cross that bridge, I'll do the same thing, just figure out like how I want to teach the idea of half. And then for science, I chose the weather activity for fog. There was also one for sheep, but I went with fog because I found a free resource online for just like making fog in a jar, and I thought that'd be a fun science experiment. I also found a documentary that I wanted to use. It's a nature documentary called Scotland, Highlands and Islands. And as you can hear right now, I'm printing a couple of resources. So I'm printing the Robert Burns, My Heart is in the Highlands. And then I also found a cross-hatching tutorial online that I thought was perfect. Although you don't need to like buy things or find freebies or use online lesson plans. The cross-hatching could have just easily been done by looking at this and getting out a sheet of paper and a pencil, but I found a fun one, and I'm feeling excited about prepping these units, so I went ahead and printed that off as well. So I'll show you what this whole unit looks like put together. All right, I've got lesson 1 prepped. So what I did here is I filled out this sheet, and I wrote like Monday, we'll read the book, and then we'll make Scottish oats, which I found some on Amazon because I couldn't find any at my local grocery pickup. I just grabbed my phone and checked. I could find Irish oats, but I wanted specifically Scottish oats. And watch a nature documentary that I found while they're eating the oats. That'll be a fun introduction. Tuesday, read the book and do the cross-hatching art tutorial. Wednesday, read the book and discuss half age appropriately. So I gave a couple of examples, but there's a bunch of examples in the book as well. There's like, for each of these things, there's a whole, a few paragraphs in the book that give direction. And so she has the book, I have the book, so there's no need for me to be super specific. So for example, in the book, it talks about half a century, half a dollar, half time, half sister or brother, half a pie. And then some examples of things that she could do and that I could do when we get there is, for the younger girls, they could color half of a circle or cut half of a sandwich. Or for the older boys, they can write, how many ways can you write half, or show me half, or just making it a little bit of an older lesson since the girls are both in kindergarten and then the boys are in 3rd and 4th grade. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Sometimes everyone can do everything the same, and then sometimes based on kids' age, you kind of change what you're doing. Thursday is read the book, discuss fog lesson in manual. So in the manual, again, it talks about the valleys and the islands and things like that in Scotland. And then I have a fog experiment for them to do. Or like it says in the manual, just notice when there's fog in your area, discuss when there's fog in your area. And then Friday I thought would be a fun celebratory tea time. So read the book and do a celebratory tea time. Make shortbread. I found like a 3-ingredient shortbread recipe that's really simple for kids to do. I did find some tea on Amazon. Again, I don't have like a lot of options in my area, but Amazon had it at a decent price point, so I went for that. Discuss poet Robert Burns and read My Heart is in the Highlands, which I just printed. And I need to write down place story disc on Scotland, because that's what you do when you read a 5 in a row book. You get these little story discs that are like represent each book, and you can place them on a map so that whenever your kids look at a map, they'll see little images of the books that they've read things that represent the books that they've read all over the map, and they can immediately start making some geographical connections. So for example, when we read Cranberry Thanksgiving, it's set in New England, so we'll have a little story disc taped onto New England, and then we have this for Scotland, and when we read Madeline, we'll put it over Paris. So as they look at the map, they're starting to see regions that they've studied with familiar stories and connections. So I'm gonna write down place story disc on Scotland, and then that's it. So I've got those things ordered. They should be here tomorrow, and I'll show you that when it's on. Okay, so this is where I'm currently at. I am working on my last unit here, which is Little Nino's Pizzeria. And I'm printing a food pyramid chart that I just found on my phone because I decided that I want to use like food pyramid and food groups as the science lesson for this. I will walk you through what all of these decisions were that I made with the other units, but my brain was getting tired. So I've got lots of stuff that I've been printing over here, lots of prep happening over here, still have some printing going on, and I'm currently nursing a 2-week-old almost as I work on this last unit here, Little Nino's Pizzeria. All right, I just finished everything, and you guys pretty much saw already how I planned Week-Gillis, so I'll pop that to the side. So for Truman's Ant Farm, I have it kind of broken down by, one second, John's actually doing his workout right now and I could hear his music and I think I might get a copyright claim. Sorry about that. So for Truman's Ant Farm, there were some worksheets and language arts lessons in the book that I have them doing the first day. There's a science lesson on ants in the book, a whole nice lengthy science lesson. And then, so I'm having them read that, and then they're either gonna watch a documentary about ants or read, we have lots of ant books, like pocket manuals and things, or Storybook of Science has a good one, and they're gonna do some nature journaling because Lord knows we've got plenty of ants in Florida. These were all really great recommendations from the book. So then there were 2 options in there, or there were 2 things I decided to combine. One was the social studies lesson. Hey, lovey girl. The social studies lesson was on relationships instead of being on geography, the one that I chose, and so it encouraged you to write letters to your aunt. And then there was also a lesson in the book for math on postage. So I have them doing the lesson from the manual on postage, writing a letter to the aunts, and then calculating postage costs, and I'm going to provide them with the stamps for that one because I usually don't have stamps on hand, but I happen to have a sheet of them right now. And you know, my friend's probably the same way. There's a manual lesson on art that we're gonna do, and then there's lots of science in here, so I split it up over 2 days. They're gonna do a moon project and some constellation projects that are in there. Let's see. Madeline. Yes, okay, Madeline is a lot of stuff from the manual, like a grouping project. I found a free symmetry lesson on Teachers Pay Teachers as well. That was another recommendation. Lots of discussion points that are listed in the manual. Excuse her, she's like stretching and going wild over there. There's a fun art lesson on architecture in the manual. There's a health lesson, and I have Melissa and Doug's sticker sheet on making a healthy meal, so I'm gonna put that in there for my friend, and then I'll save some for my kids as well. And then there's a lesson on rhyme, rhythm, and repetition. So that is what I have planned for that. Little Nino's Pizzeria is really neat because it talks about service and the homeless and running a family business, all of which we are very familiar with in our house because we serve at a local garden that feeds the homeless, and so does my friend who's doing this. And so I just have a plan to go to the garden, do a like role play family business. There was a lesson on gouache because that's what the illustrator used in the book, so I have them just kind of playing around with it. I ordered a pack of it that I'm going to split up between us both. Then we're going to revisit a language arts lesson from another book. So I'm going to have her, I'm just going to let her know to do Little Nino's Pizzeria after she does Truman's Ant Farm. So that's just going to be like a quick revisiting that, and then having the kids role play running a family business. There's food pyramid opportunities, so I did a free printable for a food pyramid. And then pizza party is fun. So the math we're gonna do for this one is weighing ingredients on a kitchen scale and having the kids do a pizza party. There was like a fake ordering ticket, you know, in the book that I made a photocopy of so they can practice taking their siblings' orders. And then the last one I have here is Duchess Bakes a Cake. So this is a cool one because for social studies, we're gonna just talk about knights and castles and serfs and just like the whole culture of that society at the time. And we're going to, there's just a lot they can do. I gave her lots of options too, like making Lego castles was one that's in the book. There's a whole thing to read from the manual on that. Role playing, reading or watching documentaries, making castles, whatever. That'd be a whole day and just playing, a play-based learning day. There was a lesson on art type style, like Old English, and there was a page that they could print out and try to copy some of that print. I think my camera cut out for a minute, but I was just gonna say then they're gonna discuss alliteration. There were two language arts lessons I wanted them to do from the book, so I broke them up so they didn't get confused. And also 2 art lessons. So I broke them up. So art and language arts one day, and then I did it again on Thursday. So they're gonna do synonyms and then pull out a thesaurus. There's a lesson in the manual about that as well. And then there was another art lesson, which was an action art lesson I photocopied for them to work on as well. And again, my friend also owns this book, so she has all access to the same photocopies. So I felt fine about that. So then another day they're going to discuss dry measurement. They can bake a cake if they want to. I'll just write on her little folder for this, like ingredients needed, like cake mix or cake recipe if you'd like. But then it talks about in the manual about doing dry ingredients and liquid ingredient measurements. And I still had access to the Gallon Man liquid measurement lesson that I used for my boys 2 years ago. So I went on Teachers Pay Teachers and found that in my, purchase history, and I printed that out. And then I have a fun leavening experiment for them, and I have the packets of yeast and everything as a fun Friday activity because in the manual it talks about health and nutrition. It also talks about leavening if you haven't discussed that in a while, say from like Cranberry Thanksgiving. There's a couple of books where there are leavening projects, so it said like you can go back to those books if you want to revisit leavening if you've not done that before, and it's been a long time, so I decided to go ahead and do a leavening experiment with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and like organize my printables, grab the things online that I wanted to grab, and then once I get it all organized, I'll show you how I'm gonna hand it to my friend and also how I'm gonna store it for myself and organize it. Okay, so I have just spent the day or not the whole day, but just some time organizing some of my printouts and getting supplies together. And I will show you what I've got going on here. So first of all, I put all of the lesson plans into manila envelopes here. So I've got one for me and one for my friend here. And then inside of each of these, I have a little list of things that she'll need to get like from the grocery store or anything that she might just need to pull together if she doesn't have it on hand. Everything else for every other project is provided in her little kit that I'm making for her here. So I've got, like for Little Nino's Pizzeria, I've got a food pyramid chart here to talk about healthy eating. I've got some photocopies from the book here. So this is for the art lesson. This is for like playing like you're running a family business. Here's opportunities to serve the community because they do talk about feeding the homeless in that book. And then I've got the gouache here, which goes along with one of the projects. So I'm just gonna divide this up and I'm gonna put her stuff in like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And then my stuff I'll just leave in the box. For Duchess Bakes a Cake, I've got, again, the lesson plans in there. And then I've got the balloon leavening experiment. So I've got like the yeast and balloons here, and I put inside of her folder that she needs to have an empty water bottle for that. We've got the Old English alphabet pattern from the book. This is that Gallon Man printable that I talked about having. It's a really cool visual for the kids to see how many pints and cups and all that is in a gallon. So there's that. For Madeline, I've got the lesson plans, and then I've got a symmetry project that I found online for free, a little recipe for like a French style lemonade type of thing, basically. Photocopies from the book again for the flag, and a grouping activity for math. And then healthy eating, like I said, I had this sticker sheet, so I'm gonna give a few of the pages for them to create their own healthy meals. For Truman's Ant Farm here, we have a Oreo Moon project. I've got some stamps here I'm gonna give to them for writing to their ants and dealing with postage. And then photocopies from the book once again. And then for Wee Gillis, this is probably the one that has, or the one that I'm like most excited about. So for this one, I got some Scottish oatmeal and some Highland tea, because like I said, I was putting together like a little Scottish poetry tea time. And there's also a shortbread cookie recipe here. And then for the cross hatching, I found this printable online, and then I also have a science experiment here for making fog in a jar. And so for this one, again in here, I have it listed like that they'll need shortbread ingredients, and then for the fog in a jar, they need glass jar, hairspray, and ice. So there is all of that. So it really wasn't that much prep work, just a few things, odds and ends I needed to grab, like the yeast and a balloon and some stickers and oatmeal just to make it extra fun. But this is gonna be really great. So like I said, I did 5 units, and then my friend also put together 5 units. We're both gonna be homeschooling with newborns this year, and 2 in elementary school that we wanna just keep going along with. So this way we'll have 10 units prepped for the whole school year ahead of time. So if we come to a week where we've got like a baby who's cluster feeding, or we're just fatigued, or we're up all night with a baby, or whatever, we will have grab and go units prepared that we don't need to do any early prep work for, or you know, kind of get started on the wrong foot one week and miss a day of 5 in a row or anything. So we've got 5 here, she did 5, so 10 total for the school year, which is like a third of the school year, which is awesome. So love 5 in a row. Like I said, I'm gonna link the free unit in the description box down below if you guys are interested. And I hope you guys enjoyed this plan with me video. If you wanna see more like plan with me videos and come along with me as I'm doing some homeschool prep, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you later. Bye guys.